Hello, and welcome to Our Little Path. My name is Amanda, and if you are new here, welcome. Here on Our Little Path, I talk all things about motherhood, homeschooling, and faith journey, and specifically how we can lead our children on the path to heaven. So, hence Our Little Path. Today we are going to be going through 5 tips on how to get started in homeschooling. Now, it can seem simple, it can seem overwhelming. Here, I'm just trying to guide you a little bit onto an idea on where to start and maybe ease that overwhelm. Before we begin and jump into my 5 tips on beginning homeschooling, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button below. If you hit the bell as well, you'll be notified every time that I post a new video. I try to get videos out at least twice a week, and you can stay updated on what's going on. I would love if you would join me. So, when you're starting homeschooling, it can be pretty overwhelming. You can be hit with, okay, what do I need to know for my state? Style of homeschooling, curriculums are so many different things. Do we want to use electronics? Do we not want to use electronics? Do we homeschool in the afternoon? Do we homeschool in the morning? It's just a lot of decisions, and I get it. It was really stressful for me to begin with, just because there's a lot of uncertainty in something new, and that's okay. That's okay that there's uncertainty. I'm still learning, and I'm on year 3, so it's an ever-evolving journey. But hopefully with the few tips that I have, it can at least get you started and feeling a little bit more confident as you begin. So I'm going to jump right into it, and yeah, we'll just see where we go with it. My number 1 tip is to look at your state laws, because obviously if your kids have been in school, then you're going to have some things that you need to do at the school level, submitting different forms that way to pull them out. And then state-wise, each state varies on what their requirements are for things that you have to submit. Where we live in Arizona, all we have to do is submit an affidavit saying we're homeschooling by the age of 6. And then, or like once your kid turns 6, you can submit the affidavit and then you're good to go. There's no requirements on keeping track of everything. There's no hour requirements, specific like classes that you have to do, things like that. But whereas I know some other states, like I think in Florida, they have to have like end of the year like review with somebody within the government. I'm not sure. I follow a few homeschoolers on YouTube, and they're always talking about from Florida the things that they have to submit at the end of the year. So every state is different. So some homeschoolers will have some more work, and some homeschoolers, homeschooling moms might not have as much record keeping and things like that. So I would say HSLDA, Homeschooling Legal Defense Association, I think is what it is. HSLDA is just the acronym I've always called it, but they have all of the state laws and things that you need. So you can go on their website, I'll link it below, and you can kind of follow through those steps for submitting your intent to homeschool. So that one's pretty basic. Step number 2 is looking at your curriculum. And this is the hardest step because let's be honest, there are so many options for curriculum. There are curriculums solely online. There are curriculums that have like a book component and a video component, a book and an online component, just book components, and then, everything under the sun below each of those big descriptions. So I would say find out, obviously, when it comes to, it might take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what will work for your kids. Most of the stuff has like samples. Most curriculums that I've ever looked at have different types of samples. So it is kind of hard to like fish through the samples to see what you might want online, but definitely worth the time and the effort. And honestly, like this is, as you like prepare for going into homeschooling, probably the biggest thing that you need to do. But there are a bunch of places that offer free curriculums. So I will list a couple of different free curriculums and things like that. One that I would say is a really good resource when you're looking for curriculums is Kathy Duffy Reviews. And she reviews so many, I think she's been doing it for a really, really long time, because she's reviewed every curriculum that I've ever researched. So she has a lot of good reviews, and they are helpful to know, like, you know, is it colorful? Is it a lot of workbook? Is it a lot of, like, is it heavily parent teaching, or is it more like the student can kind of guide them? So Kathy Duffy Reviews is really good for that. And then on there, she also has like a bunch of free resources. So if you have younger kids, it's a lot easier to do some of the free resources stuff. Older kids, there's not as much to come by, but The Good and the Beautiful is one that has quite a few of their stuff that you can download the whole curriculums for free. And then it also saves a lot of money. So if you're a parent that is kind of on a tighter budget for their schooling, because homeschooling can get very expensive, The Good and the Beautiful is a great option for some of those free resources. They have like their entire literature programs for free. Now it's a lot of printing, so you kind of have to weigh those costs as well. But yeah, curriculum. Whew. Find your curriculum, look through the different free resources. If you can make a homeschooling convention or get connected with some local homeschoolers, and if they have the curriculums that you're interested in looking at, a lot of moms are very open to, you know, letting you come over and look at their curriculums, or letting you borrow their curriculums so that you can look through them on your own time. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of looking at the free resources online and watching YouTube videos of like different flip through reviews, and then also borrowing stuff from some of my homeschooling mom friends. So it's a journey, and just know that like if you pick a curriculum, it doesn't have to be the same curriculum for every subject that you do. So if you do curriculum A for literature, you don't have to do curriculum A's for math and science and history. You can do something else, or you can do it all with curriculum A. A lot of companies do offer kind of like an open and go set, and those are really nice, especially when you're starting out. But it doesn't have to be that way either. And I will say, like, I started out with a company's kind of like open and go set, and went with that, except for I've always done something different for history and science, just because I don't know, I always wanted something. Catholic Heritage didn't have a science that I really liked, so I had always went with a different science. And then history, I wanted to start history earlier than when Catholic Heritage had started it, so I started history a little bit sooner. So yeah, it doesn't have to always be, you know, curriculum A. You could do curriculum A with this, curriculum B with math, curriculum C and D with science and history, and kind of go from there. And I will say also, along the lines of curriculum, is that kind of find out what your child is interested in. If you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed of adding all the subjects in at once, you know, get your language arts, get your math, and then see if there's like a subject that they want to learn about. My kids really wanted to learn about Egypt when we first started, and like the pyramids and things like that. And so we did like a bunch of little they call them unit studies, where it's just, you know, for maybe a month or two, you're studying just one specific topic and kind of diving deeper into that. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be jump right in with everything. You can kind of help guide to what your children want to learn at that time. There will be time to catch up on math, catch up on science and things like that. But especially when you're first starting out, I would say give yourself a grace period of like 12 weeks to kind of get the ball rolling and going with your curriculums. All right, so for number 3, I would say don't get bogged down by style. And by style, I mean, are you a classical type of family education wise? Are you Charlotte Mason, where Charlotte Mason is a lot of living books and reading aloud, a lot of oral narration, written narration. There's eclectic, which is like a little bit of everything. Unschooling, which is like, it's very like child-led, but parent helping. I don't know how to explain unschooling without it really sounding like unschooling. Each unschooler does everything a little bit different. So if you've read about unschooling or you've never heard about it, maybe go watch a video or two before I try to butcher it, because the way that like I would unschool is probably not true unschooling, but I'm like too type A to release the reins on things like that. So don't get bogged down by the style. Find a curriculum and a program that you think will work for you and for your children, and start there. Then as you get comfortable with just educating your kids and they get comfortable with you teaching them and you kind of find your style and their style, then you can start adding things in. And we've kind of fallen into, I really wanted to do Charlotte Mason style, but I got really overwhelmed and I wasn't able to, and I still I want to get back to it and try to implement it more, but I feel like we fall more into the line of eclectic. Like some of the stuff we use is Charlotte Mason inspired, some of it is more classical, and then maybe a little unschool in the sense of if my kids have something that they really want to learn about, we'll kind of go off on tangents and spend that time learning about it that way. So it's more of the child-led. So don't get bogged down on the style. I really stressed on that. It's like, do I want classical? Do I want Charlotte Mason? What would be the right way to do it? But I think that as you're getting into your homeschooling and you're getting more comfortable, that stuff will kind of just come naturally to you. It's fun to read about, it's fun to learn about. And I'm not saying don't do that, don't learn about the different styles, but what I'm saying is as you're starting out, don't let that stress you out, I guess. Just start, and then as you guys grow and develop and learn, you'll kind of see where each of you fit, and maybe one style fits better more for a child than another child. So keep your options open, I guess, is what I'm saying. My 4th topic for help is to kind of have a set schedule space. I'm not like a, die hard, this is how every single day should go. We're a little bit more flexible, and sometimes Wednesday's our day off because we only homeschool 4 days a week. Sometimes it's a Tuesday, sometimes it's a Friday, just kind of what works with our schedule that week. But I will say, try to set consistent times to when you're gonna do stuff. So if your kids are early risers like mine, we like to get school done for the bulk of our school done in the morning before lunch. Now some of you have unicorn children, and your unicorn children sleep until 8, 9, 10 sometimes. So maybe, starting a slower morning and doing your stuff in the afternoon is a better option for you. So kind of go with what flows best for your family. You don't always have to school in the morning. You don't always have to school only in the afternoon. You could school after dinner time, really, if you wanted to. So that's the beauty of homeschooling, is it doesn't have to look like a traditional brick and mortar school. You don't have to start at 8 a.m. and end at 3 p.m. Most days we start at 8:30 and are done by 11 or 12:30 with a lunch break in there too. So find a schedule time-ish that will work for you. but don't be afraid to be a little flexible on your days, I guess. And then finding a space to school. Some people are really have the space to have like a homeschooling room. We don't have that in our house right now currently. We have in the past, but we do homeschool at our table. We had started homeschooling at our island, and then once Lewis started doing kindergarten last year, we moved over to the table, especially because Ben could sit at the table and it just worked better for us. So now we homeschool at the table, works really well. Sometimes the kids want to, Bella's been doing her independent work in her room, and then Lewis sometimes wants to do homeschooling in his room, or we've sat on the couch for different things like that. So it doesn't have to be tied to that specific spot, but for like storing all of your stuff, it's easier if you kind of have one centralized location where the bulk of your schooling is done, and then, you know, everyone can kind of fan out as the different lessons and things like that during the day progress. So find a schedule-ish and find a place is my number 4. For number 5, it's start slow. So when you first get started, like your day 1 homeschooling, like we're starting on this day, only do like one thing. Maybe just do math for that day. Maybe just start with your literature. Maybe just start with reading a book to the kids and doing a craft. And then day 2, add in something else. Or some people say like start with a week of one subject and then add in the next subject. And I would say go based off of your child. My kids even were year 3 when we started. We just did like our morning time, which is when we read a book together as a family, and we do our catechesis, and then we just did math and reading for that day. That was our first day, like super basic. I didn't do science, I didn't do history, I didn't do our continents that we're working on right now. I just kept it super easy. And that way you don't feel the overwhelm as much. I would even say if you're brand new to homeschooling, just start with math and reading for like your first 2 or 3 weeks, especially if you've had a kid who's already been in school, because it is kind of like you have to kind of unlearn that like school structure. And it's also really nice to kind of like let your kid kind of realize that like they're gonna have a lot more time to do things and spend time with mom and dad, and you know, they're gonna be able to like really dive into their creative interests. So I would say the first 2 or 3 weeks, just focus on math and reading, language arts type stuff. And then you can add in your science, your history, and things like that. That's what I would do. Just make it easy, less stressful for yourself. And then the last one isn't really well, I guess it's a tip, but this is kind of like my bonus tip, I guess. Bonus is, let's say you've gotten into this homeschooling thing, you've got your groove down, you've got your space down, you know your curriculum, but the curriculum's not working. So what do? Do you push through? You are dreading the curriculum, or your kid's dreading the curriculum, or you're both dreading the curriculum. What do? Don't be afraid to scrap it. And that is like, it's like, that's tough. That makes you go, take that breath and pause and go, really? I spent this money on this curriculum. Like, I just want to finish it. And I've done that, and it is brutal. Don't do it. The sooner you find that something is not working for your kid, start looking for a different avenue. You don't have to completely stop it right then, but like start looking for something, or start looking for extra stuff that can help you present what the curriculum is teaching in a new way. We had a math that like we got through the first half and it was fine, and then like the second half of the math in the spring semester literally just turned into like really, really boring math pages. And this is like, I'm talking first grade math. Like it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be stressful. And it was rough. The curriculum was just not working. And I tried to implement some like other creative ways to teach what it was trying to teach. So we ended up finishing it, and I did that, and it was fine, but it was rough. It was like an everyday struggle and fight between the two of us. So don't be afraid to scrap something, and don't be afraid to, like, you know, let's say it's a math curriculum, go through and look through the new curriculum that you bought and then like, okay, we've done this, and start on this page because this is new. You know, if your kid has already learned some of it, go to the spot that's new for you and go from there. You don't have to start, you know, at the beginning again and repeat everything. So I know that's not always like the most financially wise choice, but like that's life. Things happen. That's why we homeschool, is so that we can find the curriculum, find the things to teach our students in the best possible, teach our children in the best possible way that fits their needs. So that's my bonus, is I'm giving you permission to scrap something if it's not working for you. I promise it'll be okay. That's my homeschooler mom to homeschooler mom advice. So those are my 5 tips plus a bonus on starting homeschooling. I know it's probably like watered down and more simple, but that's what I really wanted to give you, is that like it can be really simple to start school. Your biggest stress is going to be curriculum, and honestly that never goes away because I'm in year 3 and it's still stressful picking curriculums. Do I stay with what we're working on, or do we go to a new one? So yeah, you can do it. It'll be great. It might be a little stressful. You'll probably fight with your kids. It happens, we're human. But overall, the rewards of homeschooling and being with your kids it tops everything. It makes it all worth it in the end. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions about starting homeschooling, let me know below. I would love to help you out. Have a great day. Bye.